everybody! This is Paola Espitia from Ola'pi Creative. We are a multimedia production agency based here in Fort Lauderdale, and we'd like to welcome you to Conversations by Water. This is a weekly show that we're live streaming from Facebook, talking to local wave makers all about how it is they are making change in the community. And we are by water. That's the whole point. Conversations by water. The idea is that there's actually a lot of studies that show that when we spend time in, on, under, and near water, we're actually better at what we do, we're happier, we're more focused, and we're more creative. So that's why we have these Conversations by Water, because we're diving a little bit deeper into getting to know who these amazing wave makers are, and what it is that drives them, and what it is that they're doing to better our community and our planet. So today I would like to welcome Cody Bliss of Beyond the Map. Cody is actually a former colleague of mine from graduate school. We went to school together at Nova Southeastern University at the Oceanographic Center, and we both worked in the Coral Restoration Lab with Dr. Dave Gilliam. So Cody is actually an old friend of mine.
Old friend.
And he's a lot of fun. So I wanted to share his story with you all. He's got a really cool thing going on. He's also one of these marine biologists turned entrepreneur, because I imagine, like we wanted to do, we wanted to make a bigger impact in the world,
That
right?
is correct, absolutely.
So tell us, what is Beyond the Map, and how you got that started?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, Beyond the Map is an adventure travel company. Most of what we focus on are outdoor adventures, but we sort of go beyond the standard tourist stops and everything like that. We try to go to locations that are more authentic, places that when you go to a country or you go to an unfamiliar place, you're leaving there and you just really have a better sense for what that location truly is. And sort of a side objective that we try to do, we like introducing people to the unfamiliar, to things that make them uncomfortable, things that put them in a scenario where they're able to grow personally. And so in a nutshell, that's what we are.
It really pushes their boundaries, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about that, especially when it comes to travel. I think that's one of the benefits of travel, is that it does give us an opportunity to push our boundaries, to experience new senses, new smells and sights, and that really opens your mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Going to these places, personally, I always say it's more than a vacation. It's when you go to these locations, it's an experience. A vacation. Paul and I were actually chatting a little bit just personally about this ahead of time, and a vacation sort of has these end dates whenever you come home, and a lot of times you find yourself saying things like, I need a vacation from my vacation.
Yeah,
and,
that's very true.
And yeah, exactly. And so there's a time and place for a vacation, but we like to offer experiences instead of vacations. And what I mean by that, we like to offer things that change who you are. They influence you as a person. They influence who you are in your community, who you are to your family, who you are as a professional. It's a very three-dimensional experience that that benefits your life long after you've returned from wherever it is you're traveling to.
So what have been some of the experiences that you've offered through Beyond the Map?
So we offer a variety of different experiences. Some of our more popular ones include places like Iceland. Iceland is incredibly popular right now, and for good reason. It's a spectacular country. It's one of those places you go to where it's a relatively short flight from the East Coast. It's actually quicker to get to Iceland from the East Coast than it is to go to LA.
Wow.
It's a lot of people find that surprising, but it's one of those places where the travel is not too far, yet when you get there, you feel like you're on a completely different planet. And it blows you away. So Iceland is really popular right now, one of our favorite travel destinations, but we also take people to Costa Rica, Peru, the Yucatan Peninsula. So we kind of go all over, but we also stay in our own backyard too. There's, a lot of people forget about the United States. It's a very large country, and there's lots of amazing places to visit right here in our own country. And so a few of our favorite destinations to take people to are places like Oregon, Utah, Hawaii, even here in Florida where we're based locally. So yeah, we're all over.
What's been your favorite place that you've been to?
That's always
I know,
the question.
it's like you can never narrow it down, right?
I knew she was gonna ask that. I should have been prepared. My favorite place with a group, with a Beyond the Map group, I think would have to be Costa Rica. It's just such a varied country, and it's also viewed as a very well-traveled country, and it gets a bad rap for having that tourist trail, where all of the places have been discovered, and we like to challenge that. So we've taken Costa Rica, what you think you know about the country, and we've kind of turned it upside down, shaken out all of the things you know, and then what's left is our trip. And so people are often really surprised with Costa Rica and what we do on that trip. So that's one of my favorite with guests. Personally favorite, I have a very soft spot for Oregon here in the United States. You know that, Paola. Having lived there for a little while, it's just a beautiful place that I think everybody should visit at some point. So.
And actually, with the Costa Rica trip, our very own Pi from Ola'pi is going to be going down with Cody and with their team to actually document their next trip. You guys are leaving March 1st.
We are, yeah. It's almost a week from today. Almost, not quite. Yeah, I'm so happy to get Ola'pi on a trip. It's something
great.
We've been chatting about for a while. And so now Pi is going to be joining us, and not only joining us, but he's going to be on he's going to be with one of my favorite groups that we take. We're going to be taking students from Nova Southeastern University, local university down here, and these students are awesome. I would say more than half of them have never been out of the country. And those are always our favorite groups.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be a really awesome experience. I'm glad you guys are getting to.
Oh, we are super stoked about that.
Yeah.
And so, since you do have some real newbies going along, what would you offer for packing advice?
Packing advice.
Yes.
Pack light, and think before you pack. Okay? I think to anybody, actually, not even newbies. I mean, I make the mistake myself. Most people procrastinate and they pack the night before, or if you're lucky, 2 nights before, and then you find yourself just piling in a lot of things you don't need. With traveling, you can get away with that without much consequence. But we do some backpacking trips to where, for some of the more adventurous folks, where you actually carry everything on your back. And if you're not conscious about what you're packing, it is going to impact you. and so it's a different sort of life lesson whenever you're carrying your own equipment versus some of our more standard trips where you're traveling between hotels and lodges and things like that.
So you have gotten a chance to go to some of these really unique countries, but then also doing really unique things in familiar places too. What would be a highlight from your most recent trip?
I would say a highlight from our most recent trip was not too far from Florida, actually. We had a Friendsgiving trip up to North Carolina. So it's not this, crazy exotic destination like Iceland or New Zealand or somewhere like that. It's pretty standard location. And yet a lot of the travelers that were with us were just completely in awe by the places we were going. And you could genuinely tell that they were grateful for everything that they were experiencing. And that this experience that they were moving through each day was something that was going to stick with them for quite a while. And that really impacted me personally. It made me realize that what we do is more than just taking people to locations and just showing them different places. It's something that changes who they are. And so that was definitely one of my favorites. That particular trip, actually, we on Thanksgiving Day, we decided to summit the 3rd highest peak in North Carolina. And so we're taking a lot of these travelers that may have not been apt for long hikes in their life, and they worked together as a team. They were incredibly supportive of each other, and you know, people were wiped out. They earned that Thanksgiving dinner that day, but it was something that they felt incredibly accomplished by. You know, one of my favorite things about putting people or presenting these opportunities to explore your comfort limits is that when you're in those scenarios, you know, right now we're by a beautiful waterway, but even so, there's boats going by. There's one of the busiest highways in the area, not too far away.
Right over there is 95.
I-95. You know, there's phones. There's all sorts of crazy complexities in many of our everyday life. And when you put yourself in these areas where there are these situations where you're exploring those comfort limits, all of that complexity sheds away, and you're kind of left in a very focal, almost moving meditative state. And it really is a health benefit, mentally, physically. It's just a great exercise. I think everybody should experience occasionally.
I like to call it, you know, like the flow state. When you're in that zone, and what really triggers it is travel and being somewhere where you are exposed to new sights and sounds and smells. It's suddenly actually breaking your let's go get science. It's suddenly like breaking like the neural pathways, and you're forming new memories and new perceptions of that scenario. And so that's one reason why travel helps us grow so much. It's literally like doing exercise for your muscles, but doing exercise for your brain, and showing your brain that there are other ways to perceive the world and other ways to connect with people. And I love that about travel. And I'm so proud of you guys to have started Beyond the Map. It's such a great business that you have going on, and the mindset behind it is right on. Like, you very much get it. One of the things that we had talked about too was, you know, in order to actually like promote that flow state and to get outside your comfort zone, sometimes it doesn't even require being out and about on a big trip, but these micro adventures. So one of the things, for instance, today we are at the Bill Keith Preserve in Fort Lauderdale. We're just south of Davie Boulevard and east of 95. We can actually see 95 right where we're standing. But yet we found ourselves in this beautiful preserve, complete with old growth, old Florida vegetation. We're right by water. We see the boats going by. It's a really beautiful little corner of Fort Lauderdale. And this is another reason why we do these conversations by water, is to introduce you to these really special places where you can have these micro adventures. And why do you think, I mean, micro adventures, why do you think that also has the same impact? I mean,
yeah, you know, and it's sort of unrealistic for everybody to be able to pick up and go on a grand adventure halfway across the world, right? There's a select few amount of people that can actually do that, and we encourage people to explore your own backyard. You know, I think you can get a lot of the same benefits from spending an afternoon driving down you know, through a town that you may have never thought about going, and go one step further. Park your car and walk, or hop on a bike. I've lived in places before where I would have lived in a location for an entire year, and then all of a sudden I decided to get on a bike, and I'm seeing things that I drove by every single day. You know, when I was a young child, actually, one of my fondest memories, it would be late at night, you know, 8, 9 p.m. and my mom would say, "Hey, hop in the car, let's go for a ride." You know, almost like we were dogs, and we're like, "Yeah, let's go for a ride." And what she would do is she would literally just drive and start picking roads, like literally picking roads without knowing where she's going, without an end destination in sight, and we would discover so many amazing places, whether it's you know, a small little restaurant or cafe, or a beautiful vista and viewpoint. You know, we would just discover so many little places, and I think that really embodies the spirit of a micro adventure. Just because you can't get out there every month or every year and do these maybe Instagram worthy trips that you may see on social media, doesn't mean there's not beautiful places right here in your own backyard. One of the largest motivating factors for starting Beyond the Map is because we love to travel, and we traveled extensively before we started the company. But there's nothing better than showing someone a new location for the very first time. That is, I mean, it's one of the most rewarding experiences. But you don't need to travel far to do that. You know, if you feel like you've seen a lot of places in your own backyard, in your own town, then grab a friend that hasn't and show them. You know, take someone else on what may be a micro adventure for them, and I can promise you it's just as rewarding as you know, doing one yourself. So
that's such a great point. And for all you to know, Cody and his partner Listina are actually both from the Pittsburgh area, but from the suburbs. And so you actually didn't travel outside the country until you were how old?
Yeah, so I was fortunate. I think I was early high school, late middle school. Little backstory in that. So Paolo and I know each other through marine science, through studying corals, but we didn't travel much growing up. In fact, we didn't travel anywhere really outside of our small bubble in Western Pennsylvania. My mom was a single parent, and so we just couldn't afford, you know, for 4 kids to travel places. Plus, it wasn't the cultural norm in our community where we, you know, the people that we were around. And so we took a lot of micro adventures, and I think that really instilled that sense of wanting to go and explore more. And one of my earliest memories, another one actually, my aunt came to my grandmother's house where I was being watched. My grandmother was watching me, and they were on their way in an old Chevy bubble top van to head to Ocean City, Maryland. And if you're from the Northeast, you've surely heard of Ocean City, Maryland. It's a large...
Yeah. We went to senior week there.
Don't go if you're listening to this. It's not a recommendation. It's just somewhere that a lot of people in the Northeast happen to visit for vacation. But to a young, impressionable kid, that was like the other side of the planet. And so my aunt, she could tell on my face that I wanted to join her and her family so bad on this trip. I'd never seen the ocean before, and so she scrounged up some clothes that were my grandfather's, threw me in this van with everybody else, and we arrived at the beach at night. It was pitch black, and I got out of the van, and I remember seeing the expanse of the ocean. And all of a sudden, my world went from this big, and it exploded. And my sense of curiosity just flared, and you know, I really owe that experience, I think, to this company, to going to marine science, to wanting to just explore the world and seek answers for that curiosity.
Seek more ways to fill it.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. See, this is where I think we're doing it right. Yeah. We've built in travel into our lifestyle, into our businesses. And I love that. I think we're very lucky, and it's a very cool thing to actually be mindful of that. So you do have some other trips coming up. So you are leaving for Costa Rica on March 1st, and then after that?
After Costa Rica, we have a few smaller trips after that, but the next large trip is to Oregon. We're going on a 4-night, 5-day rafting trip down one of the most beautiful sections of river in Oregon. We're going down the Deschutes River. Simply said, we will be camping in pristine wilderness areas on the side of the river, falling asleep to a crackling fire with the Milky Way above us, and just really getting out there in nature. After the Oregon trip, we have one to the Yucatan Peninsula. We're going to be exploring some Mayan ruins, many of which you may have heard, and then a few that you may have not. We're going to be going in cenotes, which are underground, most of them are freshwater caves, exploring those. And the big highlight of the trip is actually snorkeling with whale sharks. Have you done that, Paula, yet?
I have.
You have done that.
I totally have. Yes. Oh my gosh, people, this is the most amazing experience. This is so bucket list, it's not even funny. If you don't have it on your bucket list, it has to be on your bucket list. Swimming with whale sharks is magical. These are the biggest fish in the sea. I mean, how can you not want to go do that? And they're beautiful and they're gentle, so you don't have to be afraid.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm so excited about their Mexico trip, if you can't tell. I love Mexico. I'm talking up Mexico so much.
Yeah.
But
no, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And so how do people find out more about those trips, and how can they sign up, more importantly?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the best way is to first visit our website. It's beyondthemap.org. It has a great number of resources and everything to kind of explore around. Many of our trips are actually customized to the individual. So what we like to do, we figure no two travelers are alike, so why should our trips be? So once you kind of see what you might be interested in, go ahead and email us. Our email is info@beyondthemap.org, and we'll set something up and give you some more information. And even if you just want to chat travel, we love it, obviously. So feel free, email us, give us a call.
And finally, I just wanted to find out, and I want you to share with everybody out here, what matters to you?
Yeah, ultimately what matters to me is getting people outside, getting people in natural spaces, and really falling in love with these places. One of the reasons, as I'm sure you feel similar, that we went into marine science was because we had a passion for conservation. We had a passion for these places that we're in right now. We want to keep them around. And I found that one of the best ways to do that is to actually take people to these locations, to share these places with people, and have people fall in love with these places. And that's what matters to me, is getting people out there and having a great experience and forming a great memory out in the beauty of nature. So.
And that is exactly why I say that you all are making waves, and I want to thank you for making waves, because there's nothing more important than protecting the planet. There is no plan B, planet B. So the more that we can have these positive experiences outside in nature, the better. Yeah. So thank you so much for everything that you do, Cody. And thank you Beyond the Map for all of these exciting adventures. Make sure you check them out both on Instagram. They're on Instagram as well, so you can check them out over there. And otherwise, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Keep making meaningful moments out there in the world. Enjoy the view. Come on out to the Bill Keith Preserve. It's very beautiful. We're actually waving to the Jungle Queen right now. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on another Conversations by Water. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.